then I had somebody come in on Friday trying to sell me boxes of Revised, like 11,000 apiece boxes of Revised. I told him that I would have to like take a little bit of time to get together that kind of money. Always been a mom and pop game store, quite literally, because my mom and pop are here. But the owner of that game store was trying to get us to sign over all of our work to him. Then he was going to submit it to White Wolf, and we didn't like that. So the whole team basically abandoned him and came work for me.
One of the things I think we could start with, Herbie, is if you tell us a little bit about how you got to the point of opening a game store, like your origin story with gaming and how that eventually led to you owning a shop.
Well, honestly, it's a pretty interesting long story, but I can shorten it pretty easy. So I've been wanting to be a game store owner since, I can remember, basically. I used to go to a place called Madison's Cards and Collectibles. They were my first card store when I was a young kid, and they started my passion for it. I was trying to buy that as a turnkey. Unfortunately, someone offered double the price I offered, so I really can't blame them for selling it to them. But I searched and searched and searched. Went through a bunch of normal everyday jobs, and then I finally found a business partner who was interesting. I was with him very, very briefly. I had a store for literally half a day with that partner. I went in, I ran a game, had some fun, sold some stuff for the nighttime as a soft open. And then the place, when I got there the next time, it was absolutely trashed. The ceiling panels had fallen through, there was water everywhere, and there was black mold all over the place. So I told the owner that I couldn't stay there, obviously. He's like, what? You can just put it back up in the ceiling. I was like, no, I cannot. So I moved away from that business partner, and I got my next business partner. He was fantastic. We're still good friends. His name is Joe. He currently has Cardboard Chaos. That's a place in Westerly. Wonderful, wonderful man. We parted ways, but it was not anywhere near a bad thing. It was very amicable. And now I have Reality Age myself. And it was a hell of a journey. We went through 3 different storefronts that actually were storefronts for more than 0.5 days. But we did go through a bunch of different stores. We grew, and currently we're in this place, which was funny because now it's me and my wife doing everything. My family helps out, my mom, my dad. They don't know anything about gaming, so it's funny watching them go through here and try to find something to do to help out. Usually they just sort cards for me. I mean, they like to be active and they're retired, so they just want to do something. My dad, he helps clean the place, and everyone knows that is part of the place. That Pops' area for all of his cleaning stuff. You just don't go there. He takes care of that, and we just leave that be.
How long have you been running the store for? How long has it existed?
Reality as a proper has existed about 9 years. If you include the couple of oopsies in there, it's been 10. So it's been pretty nice. We've had pop-up shops. We've gone to multiple different conventions. I actually named the store Reality A Games because I created a tabletop RPG, and it's named Reality A. So that's where that came from.
Could you talk a little bit more about your RPG that you created? Was that something that you created first and the store came after it?
Yes, I created it first. I started working for a subsidiary of White Wolf for a little while. We had a small discrepancy about, pay and stuff like that. And the owner of that game store was trying to get us to sign over all of our work to him. And then he was going to submit it to White Wolf. And we didn't like that. So the whole team basically abandoned him and came work for me. And we made Reality Egg as the tabletop in the year 2000.
And in the early days when you had the business partners, is that something that's like difficult to navigate having a business partner rather than having it the business be solo for yourself? Because I know some other game stores I've talked to have had business partners and a lot of times they're friends. And so
Yes.
it kind of makes things easier. So I'm kind of
So
curious how it is for you, how it was for you at that time.
I've had multiple business partners throughout my time, but honestly, Joe Greenhalgh, he was fantastic. We were friends first. He's been with me for most of the time that we were open. Like I said, he has Cardboard Chaos now in Westerly, but he was a dream to work with because it was so much easier when it's just like, oh, well, I can talk to you, I can talk to a friend, instead of, well, here's a massive amount of business numbers that we have to deal with today, and we'll sit down for 2 or 3 hours and do that. But I mean, we still did that, but we played games and we played Magic together, and it was a lot nicer being friendly than not.
I can imagine. And it must be very cool though, having your family essentially, working on the game store with you, like to have that camaraderie must be, just to feel like, you're not doing it all by yourself and the drag that it can become, you have your
Yeah.
wife there, like you said, and your parents. So that's a really nice thing, I would imagine.
Yes, it is. It also is a very big help because they're part of the business, so I don't have to hemorrhage out whole bunches of money onto people just to sort through my cards. But it is very, very nice. My mom and dad help me out from time to time if we get into a rough patch. COVID was a hump to get through. I still owe them money from the COVID era, but they're my family. They're not really trying to get me on anything right now.
And do they handle like other aspects of the business, or do you have employees who do that, or is it just purely family?
I have volunteers that come in from time to time. Um, that's pretty much the bread and butter work that gets done is my family. But volunteers, like right now, I have somebody volunteering for me to watch the shop with my wife. So everything is all going through. Uh, Basically, they're friends from my childhood. I've known them for 20 years. I know they're not going to steal from me. It's just nice.
Oh, definitely. What's your day to day like? Is every day, would you consider it to be, a typical day to day in the life of a game store owner, or is every day,
Every day
something
is a new
different?
day. We buy stuff, so a collection could come in at any time that's worth thousands of dollars. I just had one come through about, I want to say, 2 or 3 days ago, and it was like a $2,000 collection. I had to go through all of it, and it was for Pokemon. So we got a bunch of good Pokemon that day. Actually, I think it was Thursday that happened. But yeah, it's always a new day. I just had somebody come in today asking about selling me a bunch of dual lands, and then I had somebody come in on Friday trying to sell me boxes of Revised, like 11,000 a piece boxes of Revised. I told him that I would have to like take a little bit of time to get together that kind of money, but profit is to be made, and he realizes that there's different ways to sell. He wants more for his boxes than I would normally pay, but they're revised boxes, so I really can't say anything.
When you're going through a deal of that nature, is that a nerve wracking thing? Like to know how much money is involved there, as opposed to just somebody coming in that has, single cards that they're looking to trade in for store credit?
It used to be. Thankfully, over time, it's become a little bit desensitizing. I'm also the one that always did all the taxes for everything. Obviously, we have an accountant to like send everything in and double check my numbers, but I would do the lion's share of everything. And just seeing the numbers going in and out as we moved through things desensitized me a little bit. I know that any of my people who are volunteers, even my wife at the time, she gets very nervous when it's like over like $500 to $600. Anything in that realm, she usually gives me a phone call and she's like, I don't really know. I want to be sure. I want to make sure these things are real, because that is a big thing that happens from time to time.
Right.
Somebody will walk in with a fully fake collection or a collection with like a couple of fake cards in it. And you have to be pretty trained in order to see some of them. Like Pokemon, the fakes are kind of crappy, but Magic fakes are very good.
Is that something you see a lot these
I,
days?
I do. I unfortunately do. I see a lot of fake cards. I put up a policy in my store specifically saying that if I see something that's fake, I will confiscate it. So I let people know, hey, this is the first fake card I find. I will not confiscate this one, but if there are more in the binder, if you look at the sign, it says I will confiscate any other fake cards. So here's your warning. Is there other fake cards in here? And usually that gets people to be like, oh, and then they'll take out all the fake cards and then give it to me. And of course, at that point, I'm just like, oh, they knew exactly which fakes they had, all that kind of stuff.
Do you think they're just trying to acquire something because it's more expensive than, say, it used to be, 5-10 years ago?
Or the price points of everything have just skyrocketed on every angle. Everything having to do with the political landscape of the world has made things a lot harder for me to get. It's unfortunate, but it is the way it is. Tariffs and stuff like that very much affect me because a lot of stuff comes from China, and a lot of the bigger names take stuff from China to ship to us. So prices have gone up across the board, basically. And sometimes it's hard to find the stuff you really want.
And then you have the whole scenario of Pokemon being in this unbelievable boom that it's been in. And, for a while, to be honest, I was kind of wondering if it was going to be, a bubble and then it would go away. When COVID happened, everybody, was looking for something that was nostalgia, looking for something to do. And Pokemon seemed to be one of those big hits. And it is still going till now. And I was like, I don't know if this is necessarily a bubble or if this is just what, it really is just this popular and people are sticking with it.
Now, I think it's going to stay. But I have a funny COVID story. We got a missed shipment. I ordered a total of 6 of these Charmander boxes from my distributor. And then an extreme amount of money came out of my account, and I was thinking, what in the world was that for? So I'm trying to check my numbers and see what it was. But I get 600 Charmander boxes. 600. Not just 6 or 60, 600. And I didn't know what to do. I was about to call the distributor, and I had the shipment there, and people were like, how much is that box? And I was like, oh, well, it's, this price. It was like 25 at the time. Oh, how many you got? I have a lot. You can see that I got a bunch. And they're like, how about if we get 10? Can we get a couple bucks off of each one? So I actually sold through all 600 of the Pokemon boxes within, I think, a month.
And this is working with the distributor?
No,
the product?
I called the distributor and, let them know, hey, in case your numbers are weird, you sent me 600. I paid for 600, but you sent me 600. I am not sending any of them back because already half of them are gone. So thank you for the mix-up, but I just want you to know for your numbers, this happened. And they were like, oh, they sent you 600? Yes, they sent me 600. I sold all of them. It was wonderful.
And that's good to hear. I mean, that's great for you. I mean, it's revenue for the business. And speaking on that, are Magic and Pokemon the two cash cows right now?
Yes, there are some scandals that are unverified right now with some of the distributors and how all that's being handled. But I do know that all of my allocations of everything have been slashed to ribbons. I ordered 60 boxes. I'm getting 5. It's absolute wild. So I know that other stores are going through the same thing I'm going through. So it's not just me, but I know I've reached out personally to Wizards and left messages on their voicemails because you can't talk to them anymore. You got to talk to their voicemail. And I have to let them know, hey, my allocation wasn't just cut, it was slashed. Is there something I can do about that? Is there a problem with my store? I know for Final Fantasy, I got the amount that I was supposed to get. But now for Spider-Man, I got slashed, and now I'm worried about Avatar getting slashed even more. So,
is there anything that they're able to do, or is it purely going to be one of those things where you think they're going to send you back to the distributor to talk with them?
I'm hoping that it's something they can do. They did put out a statement saying that going forward, they were going to make sure that you had an initial allocation that you were definitely going to get, and then they would try and put more onto it. But I'm not sure how that's working because my Wizards rep hasn't told me about that yet. Like I said,
Okay.
I've been leaving messages and I haven't gotten anything back yet, but I'm sure they're busy as hell because I'm not the only game store that's being affected. And I know that even the premium game stores, I'm not one. I'm just a normal WPN game store, but the premium stores are also getting cut. And that's something that's really bad for them.
Don't normally like the distributors, at least this is what I know from one game store I've talked to about this topic. Like if you order a certain amount of product, they'll maybe cut you a discount somewhere in that, or it's sometimes I've heard used to where they want you to order a certain product of product A in order to get allocation of product B. Is that
Yeah, that happens a lot with a couple of my distributors. Like, you need to get X of product A, and then we'll give you the B that you want. That was big with Pokemon decks. Like, you have to order X amount of Pokemon decks in order to get your boxes that you want. I know that Magic, I used to get discounts if it was like above 100 boxes I would get, or above like 150 boxes that I would get, or even the 60 that I was supposed to get. I was supposed to get a little bit of a price cut, but they slashed me down to 5, and now my price is way higher.
And when it comes to purchasing Magic product, because even if you go back, like I'm thinking about like even 7 years ago, 8 years ago, there'd be a point where Magic boxes were like $100. And then I remember they went up to 105. I mean, it makes sense. Supply and demand, the popularity was increasing. Wizards going to charge more. And the thing I wonder about it is, from a game store standpoint, is it easier do you think it was easier to keep product available when they only did the 4 sets as opposed to
so much easier? Yes.
I would imagine. Yeah. I mean, because now you've got the Universes Beyond,
Yep.
and you always hear about more players coming into the game. And what I never hear really is, what is the store standpoint on this? Because are you seeing people come in to purchase product that are just into that genre, like say Final Fantasy, for example, or do you, and they're not staying around in general as like a new Magic player?
Buying the cards and going. Also, there are scalpers that will show up and try and scalp for me, and there's also scalpers that show up to try and sell to me. And it's pretty bad when like MSRP is less expensive than what you get at a distributor, because that's happened to me multiple times. I will get so much flack from people being like, oh, well, I can buy this at Walmart for X amount. How come you can't charge that? And I'm like, technically, I pay more than X amount for it at my distribution level. So there's nothing I can really do about that.
And I would imagine a portion of that also comes into the equation, which I know most people don't think about, is when you look at somebody like a Walmart, the volume at which they can afford to buy from the capital that they have is a much drastic amount compared to a mom and pop game store.
Yeah. Like, I've always been a mom and pop game store, quite literally, because my mom and pop are here. But I mean, it used to be a lot better. Things are getting harder. Also depends on which distributor you work with, because there's a lot of them now. And you can actually say, hey, I'm getting this from this distributor. I want to get more from you. Can I switch to you? And can you give me the volume that I'm supposed to get? And that has happened a couple of times with a bunch of the different things that have been going on. Like One Piece, for example, I went from one distributor to the next to try and get more. Pokemon, it is kind of a crapshoot, because you can really only get Pokemon when it first releases from every distributor except for one, but that one is charging you way higher than even market at Walmart is.
From that vantage point, when you're able to switch from distributor to distributor, if depending upon who you want to work with, the fact that you have these options now, because that's something I didn't know. I always kind of thought that you were kind of like stuck with a distributor, like this is the one. I don't know if I was thinking maybe Wizards assigns it to you, or it's region based.
You can pick. Wizards tells you, all right, this is your main distributor. Make sure this is your main distributor. And you actually have to click on something in their links to make sure that, yes, this is my main distributor. And then that's where you get all of your pre-release product. But you can buy product from every other distributor that there is. Being around for as long as I have, thankfully, I've collected basically every distributor that there is out there. When Joe and I split off, he has one distributor that he deals with specifically, and I have one that I deal with specifically. And each one of us took that one, but all the ones in the middle we still all use. We both use those ones.
Do you think being in the industry and surviving it, to how long you've been in it for now, is a benefit, say compared to a newer store or a store that doesn't have the experience you have? Do you think that longevity, where do you think it helps the most?
The longevity definitely helps. The fact that I know that if I deal with this person specifically for like 10 years, say, my first distributor, they are always very cool to work with me. And I know that when you go into a distributor, you get allocated way less usually than if you've been there for a long period of time. And that's one thing that definitely helps. I also know that people who are looking to open stores have come to me and asked, hey, what do you think I should do, X, Y, or Z? And I've definitely went with telling them, all right, you might want to go with this distributor. Okay, you're looking for this stuff. You might want to go with that distributor. And I have no problems helping people. But that also helps foster a community of all of us stores being like, okay, well, I can talk to you and you're not going to run stuff on my day. So it's all good.
Is it that the distributors are looking from a risk perspective, like for in regards to a new store, like maybe not knowing if that store is going to make it, and that's why they limit
Oh,
the
I'm sure they
allocation?
are. I mean, I might not like getting cut allocations because of things, but I realize it's a business tactic. It's just what they're doing to keep themselves making the money they need to make.
Right.
Because I'm sure since I'm not making as much as I used to, they're probably not making as much as they used to either. But on Universes Beyond stuff, I know that the more the price goes up after, like for instance, let's use Spider-Man. Spider-Man's going for about $1,000 for a collector box on TCG. Now I'm getting less of an allocation, so I don't know exactly what's happening with that. Maybe more people are trying to hop in, or maybe there's a problem where they're holding back some things for later on because they know they can make the money on it. I'm not sure, but I hope that that's not what's happening.
Does Wizards clue in, like yourself or any other game stores, as to how much they're going to be printing? My guess is no, but I always kind of wondered if you had ever were given allocation numbers
I
to
never
help there.
was. Bigger fish get their allocation numbers. I know for a fact that I listened to a couple of different YouTube people on that type of thing, so I can find out the allocation numbers. I don't know if they get directly from Wizards or there's like a go-between that has it, that they just know somebody in the company. But I do know that some of the bigger ones have all the allocation numbers and know how many are printed.
I see. And in addition to, the purchase ordering that you have to do, what other day-to-day tasks does working at a game store for you personally in your area involve?
Sorting, a lot of sorting. About, I want to say 50% of my day is sorting, making sure that all the collections that come in get out. About another 25% is, helping customers, making sure that they get what they need, and looking up cards for them, making sure that the prices are all consistent, because we use TCG Player for all of our pricing, or price charting for video games, because we also do video games as well as Magic and Pokemon and a whole bunch of different card games, but we also do video games as well, used ones and new ones.
Very cool. And I want to know what I want to ask is so that people are aware of how much time you all put in. How many hours a week is it that you're dedicating to the store?
I don't get a day off right now. So I open at 11, which means I'm down here at 10. I am answering emails around 8 or 9. And then when I go to sleep, it's because I pass out from exhaustion, or, I get the one rare day where it's a slower day so I can get some sleep.
It's a common thread I've heard. You never really get to turn off. Even after hours, people are still reaching out to you.
Yes. Facebook is a big thing about that, because people will come in the store, find out I'm the owner, find me on Facebook, and then start sending me messages.
And how, do you keep yourself sane through all of it? Because, game stores have always had the low margin issue.
Yep.
And I'm wondering how, like, with how much hours you put in, like, what is it for you that keeps you doing it all these years that you've been doing it for? What is it that you love and enjoy about it so much?
Honestly, it's always been my dream. I love playing the games. I love we did board games for a long period of time. I knew every board game on the shelf because I played every one of them. Video games I've always loved. I've played all the way from Atari 2600 all the way up. So it's just being surrounded by the stuff I love that really helps me out.
So, from what you've described, it doesn't really sound like a job to you. As much as effort you have to put in, it's the genuine love you have for it that
That's
surpasses everything else.
Yep. If I didn't love it like I did, I probably would have sold a while ago. I had been tempted to sell, honestly, a couple of times due to health reasons, because it does take a drastic toll on your mind and body in order to keep it up. Even when I had a business partner, it was a lot of work.
We're going to take a quick break from this podcast to talk about our sponsor, Cardboard Shuffle. Cardboard Shuffle was our 10th podcast interview here at the Match Slip with store owner Mark. Mark has expanded his brand and has produced his own card sleeves called Shuffle Shields. Shuffle Shields come in packs of 100 premium matte card sleeves for standard size trading cards. They contain no PVC and are acid-free. I have 17 packs of Shuffle Shields card sleeves to give away to listeners of the podcast, and to receive your free pack of Shuffle Shields, you'll need to send a screenshot that you're following Cardboard Shuffle on Facebook to frank@thematchslip.com.
What would you say is the most taxing thing? I'm sure there's multiple, but if you had to pick one, what is it? Would you say it's the hours in the simplest terms, or is it something else?
Honestly, in the simplest terms, it is the hours. I work all the time. My wife hardly gets to see me. There are some times that will, I'll close the door at 7 and just go upstairs because I live above my shop, and I just watch something with her for a few hours, like a movie or a couple of episodes of something we're watching, and just at least relax for a day or two. Most days I can't do that, but Sunday is one of the days that I can, so I just came off of that. And Tuesdays is usually a slower day, so I can usually take a bit of time on a Tuesday in order to spend time with my wife. Sometimes I have to go, visit my family or do other stuff, but usually it's all for the business.
Right. I've always heard Mondays being a slow day for a game store, which makes sense. The beginning of the week starts, but you had mentioned Tuesday. I'm curious as to why you've seen Tuesday as being one of the slower days.
I can easily tell you. So Monday, I have a dedicated group of Commander players come in, and I also have a D&D game that's going on right now. Otherwise, I'd be talking to you not in my back room. But the Magic Commander players, oh my God, they are great and wonderful people. They spend a lot of money, and they also have a vicious love for the shop that we're in. So it is absolutely cool that I get to spend the whole day with, it's about the same group of people every time, but it's about 10 to 20 people that always show up on Mondays, and they just keep me jamming through the days. Also, since we take in trade-ins, most people come in on a Monday to, trade in all their stuff.
That's great, the camaraderie that you've built there too. And I would imagine that's another aspect of it that is got to be fun for you. You get to know the people that are coming to your store. Unlike, any other brick and mortar, you don't get that opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, getting to actually know all the people that come, all the people that hang out. I'm friends with some of them outside the shop as well. Some of them have gotten to volunteer for me. I did have a stint where I had employees, and my friends were among the employees, and also other customers that had grown up with the shop I hired. So that was a couple years back where that was happening. I think it was 2023 where I went back to being more of a mom and pop shop instead of a dabbling with hiring people and doing all that stuff. Because unfortunately, game shop like mine, it's harder to do. I only have the one store now. I was doing pop-ups and stuff like that back when there was huge booms for different things. But at the moment, it's back down to just me and a couple of volunteers.
do you have any opportunity? Because I know you mentioned you're busy all the time and, just having the time to spend with your wife. Do you get the opportunity, since games are such an important part of your life, do you get to play at all? Do you find that time? Oh, you do? Oh, excellent. What is your
I
favorite?
run games for my shop, which is technically working, but it's fun for me. I'm creating another tabletop RPG with a friend of mine, which is currently kind of a hush hush thing. Also, I am working on multiple different projects to, kind of take off, because social media is big right now, and we're getting a video game fighting game community going on. Uh, that community is also very, very welcoming. We're going to be getting a computer to start streaming for that. So we have a lot of things that are up and coming, but that's part of the work all the time. Because when I wake up, I usually wake up at I want to say 6 or 7 in the morning, and just brainstorm ideas in order to get them on paper. And that's before I go and do all my emails, before I come into the shop and make sure it's all set up and all that stuff.
That's amazing. I mean, you're definitely keeping yourself busy, not only the shop, but then the game, the hush hush game you're working on too.
Yep.
That's incredible. I mean, but it really speaks to the passion you have for it.
Yep.
I mean, it's so clear. I mean, because it's the whole thing, they say that old saying of, you find something you love to do, you never work a day in your life.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like for you that you're living that.
I am. I definitely am. I'm even creating a TCG for Reality A, the game that I created, the tabletop. I have the TCG all done out, all the rules done for it. My biggest hurdle right now is art. I don't want to deal with anything AI. I want to make sure that I pay artists what they're worth in order to make sure that all the cards get done. And that's pricey. So I'm doing it at a kind of slow pace.
It's understandable, but that's great. I can't wait to see and to hear about once you release it. Is there, outside of what you're working on personally, what is your favorite game of something that's going on now? Or I know you mentioned board games earlier. What is your favorite thing to play? You have the time to do it. What's something you want to play?
Usually when I have the time, I'm playing Commander. I love Commander. I get to sometimes sneak into a pod on Mondays with all the people that are here, but that's a very big rarity. I also like to play video games with people. I have a Steam Deck that I can play Dead by Daylight with a bunch of friends of mine. That's going to be starting up pretty soon. I try to at least take a half an hour here or there in order to do something that I love. I also have a board game that I'm currently playing with my wife. It's kind of off to the side because we can just store it in one little part of our apartment and then bring it out when we can actually play.
What's the Commander that you play?
So I have a lot of different ones, but Urza's my guy. I am a dirty blue player. I've had many iterations of it. I used to have the Flip Jace as my commander, but right now I got Urza.
And how has it performed for you in the pods that you've been in?
People hate me. My fun one is I have a bunch of different extra turn cards. I also own a time twister. So I have a time twister in the deck. I have lots and lots of twisters, lots of hand recursion, and lots of turn cards. So they just asked me, "Are you playing with yourself again?" All right, we'll wait.
What do you think is the appeal of Commander? Because somebody like myself, I've enjoyed building Commander decks, but as somebody who's always gravitated more towards the competitive side, like Modern, and not competitive in that I need to win at all costs, I've kind of just always liked the older cards and the 1v1 style. So Commander is always, outside of building the decks, has always been kind of a difficult thing for me to get into, because I've always felt like the whole, I'm used to watching what one other person is doing rather than three others. I've had some people tell me that that's the beauty of it, is you don't have to actually pay attention to what somebody else is doing. But from your standpoint, from somebody who plays it, somebody who makes their own games, what would you say for somebody like me I've always been intrigued. I watch Commander content on YouTube, like game nights and whatnot. And I've always said, "Oh, this looks fun," but I was I just don't know if I can get myself to do it. How would you introduce somebody like me to get into it more and to almost, it's like breaking the mold of that competitive side?
One thing you might like is something that happens from time to time is Team Commander. Like you and a buddy both have Commander deck, and you're going against another team. We used to run tournaments like that. That way, you and your partner can work together to get the other group, and that way you actually still have that recursion. There's also Emperor, which can happen. You have you as an Emperor or someone else as an Emperor, and then two flanks. And then in order for you to actually get to the Emperor, you have to get through a flank. So it's just different ways to play, I think, might actually appeal to you.
I didn't even know there were other places to play. That's fascinating, especially the 2v2 that you mentioned, because I'm thinking back to when I was in high school. Yu-Gi-Oh was the first game I got into. And that was like, I started off at Yu-Gi-Oh! And then once I learned about Magic, that was like the end. Magic was the only thing I played. It seems to be a common theme for people.
It can be. I do have a very rabid Yu-Gi-Oh crew here, but yes, I do know that a lot of them also play Magic.
Yeah. Yeah. And the 2v2 was very common at my LGS at the time. That was actually the only way we played Yu-Gi-Oh was 2v2. So very fascinated to hear that that's a thing with Commander too. I thought it was always the 4-person pod, like essentially 1 versus 3.
I mean, you can do that, but I mean, the 2v2 aspect has always been very, very fun for me. I always like having a partner and just looking at him and being like, yep, we're going to decimate that team. Having decks that work with each other well enough where you can, make sure that you can back up your partner and get the other guy.
That sounds like a very cool idea. I mean, especially if you're a blue player and then you have the other person playing like very aggressive, you could pretty much protect them so that your partner there can pretty much decimate the other side, like you said. That's a nice little 1-2 combo, I'd say.
Yeah, I used to actually play with a friend of mine, Chad. He's basically like my brother. I've known him forever. I would play blue, and I would have a lot more counter spells, and I'd still have my time stuff in there. And he would just have things to stomp the crap out of everyone. So I would make sure that he could get out all of his stompy crap, and I would just, basically protect until that could happen. And it was a fun, like mix between the two of us. We won a couple of tournaments, nothing huge though.
I love it though. I mean, that what you've described is exactly how I would probably want to play Commander, because that definitely does appeal to me.
Yes.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of fun. On another front, I know we talked about conventions. You were mentioning conventions in the earlier parts of the podcast. Is that something you still go to help market the store?
I do from time to time. Conventions. Back when it was me and my business partner, Joe, we would have a lot of conventions lined up, and one of us would go to the convention, the other one stay at the store, because we found out very, very, very early, if you close the store, that is very bad for you. Even when I closed the store for when I got married the first time, I still have a group of players that don't come to my store because I closed for Friday, which was Friday Night Magic, so I could get married.
And Friday Night Magic, like that, to me, like when I think of the original way that used to be, with the, you'd have the promos involved with Friday Night Magic. It was like, my store at the time didn't really play draft because it for some reason just didn't work. And when I was mentioning the discussion about high school, we didn't really play anything organized. It was almost like bring the cards you got and we just played. So there was no organization. But when I've learned about what Friday Night Magic used to be, do you still feel it has that same flair that it once did?
The way I do Friday Night Magic is way different than the way it used to be. I do it in a much more everybody gets something after out for coming out and playing. My F&Ms are all Commander. They always are. And I usually get anywhere from 20 to 30 people in. So I know it's a popular thing. But the way that it used to be, it was, you would get the promo. You would get all kinds of cool stuff. Now you can still get promo packs, but it's not the same feel to me. I am getting this promo. Every once in a while, you do have like a Commander night where everybody gets this one promo. Or you have like a Standard Showdown where everybody gets a promo for Standard when you come in and play. And then you're playing for top 8 gets this card and then top 1 gets this card. They're still, kind of like the old days, but I want to say that like the F&M packs that we get, They're a little bit different now. I'm trying to make it so everybody still feels like they got something, because I used to go to a game store that everybody got a F&M promo for coming out, and we would play for like an extra one or something of that nature.
Right. Like the person who won or something, like everybody had the promo for entering, but if you won or came in a certain place
Yep.
in that tournament, you got something additional on top of it.
Yes, yeah. That was a good way to do it. I mean, we still have sort of something like that now with, the foil play packs for promos, and then normal promo play packs. It's not actually play; it's like 2 or 3 cards in it, but they're really neat. I do miss getting all the old F&M cards, and all those F&M cards are worth a lot of money now.
Yeah. It's the test of time. It's really something. And, just from watching like Tolarian Community College, like he once talked about this, about how good the promos were, like card wise, like to your point, like now those are very expensive cards.
Yeah, those cards that you would get back then were always pretty decent. Up until even a few years back, there were some times where you were like, "Oh, I'm going to get this decent card for coming, awesome!" Or they would do this like promotion for refer a friend, and you and your friend would get a card if you brought somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Those cards were usually decent, but I remember that I used to get really, really, really awesome cards when I would go in, and then they kind of like downgrade a step, and now it's just random packs.
Right. Yeah, no, it's definitely different in that regard. But from the business standpoint, if we transition a little bit away from the game aspect, what would you say is the biggest struggle right now that you're dealing with? It could be a personal thing that just like with, the hours like we had talked about, or just something that you're trying to accomplish that maybe isn't working the way you expected. Like what would be the biggest obstacle right now?
Now the biggest obstacle is getting product. That's the hugest obstacle. I could sell product all day long if I had it, but the allocations that I get are piddly. And then when I do get more of an allocation, the people already know, oh, well, he probably already sold out, so they don't come back. And I'm like, I do have it. I announce on social media that I have it, and then people will come in, but then it's all different people that I'm used to forgetting. Which is great to get more people in, but then the next set I don't get as much. So yet again, people are disappointed because I can't get the product.
Yeah, that's always a rough thing when it comes to the allocations. It's a typical thing I hear from every store, that's the thing that they wish this wasn't a barrier. Is it just, I mean, I know this is overly simplistic, but is it just Wizards needing to print more of the cards, or is it more nuanced?
I like what Wizards have done recently with like the secret lair drops, because for a while the secret lair drops we couldn't get what we needed, because stores like me, we buy the secret lairs usually from the same place that you all get in yours. Every once in a great while, like the Deadpool one and the Sonic one, we're actually getting an allocation to us of the non-foils. Premium stores probably get foils, but we get non. And we get like 10 that we can buy that we can, either open up and sell in our cases or just sell as a, but I like that they're upping the quantities there, but I think that across the board, they need to just overprint stuff. People said the same thing about Pokemon too. They just need to print more.
It's kind of one of those things where, like for me, from a Pokemon collector standpoint, like, so Magic, I play the game, but Pokemon I just collect, which I hear is a very common. Yeah. And like for me, I only will collect the original Pokemon stuff. So a lot of the products don't appeal to me, except when they did Pokemon 151, which obviously
151 was great.
Yeah, everybody and their grandmother wanted that. And that is a thing I've noticed, like, has obviously shot up in price because of its popularity. And you always kind of wonder, like, that would seem like a no-brainer from Pokemon standpoint to like, let's print this again. Like, they're obviously not going to do it.
I mean, they used to. I know back in the day, like, I want to say when Roaring Skies was a thing, I'm talking about years and years ago, they would have reprints of sets. And that was very, very good. Sometimes stores didn't want them because I still had the set, but that was back when Pokemon was not at its prime. So I think if they did stuff like that again, that would be very helpful. As for Magic, they just need to print the crap out of everything. I haven't had a Final Fantasy playbox in my shop in, I want to say, a month. They gave us promos to do drafts and stuff, but I can't get the product. The last ones I got was from another game store. We both bought allocation from an eBay seller. That's how we got we got Pokemon and Final Fantasy collectors and Final Fantasy normal that way. And the collectors I got, I had to sell at a higher price because I got them from eBay.
Yeah.
Granted, they all did sell, but like, it's absolutely insane when we have to go to eBay in order to get our stuff.
How fast did that sell out? Because I know Final Fantasy made record numbers in the first day. Like, how quickly was that gone from your store?
Instantly. I got the allocation I was supposed to get. It was a pretty big hit on my wallet, but I got as much as I could, and I put it out on Friday, and it was gone on Friday.
Unbelievable.
I staggered orders with even different distributors, so I would get some Friday and some Monday. So the ones I got Friday, I didn't even have any Saturday or Sunday. I figured I would have some because I got such a big amount, but nope. Friday was all gone. I did pre-orders for it, but I mean, I didn't do too many pre-orders. I pre-ordered a case of each, and that was it. But then we did Monday, and Monday, my Monday crew came in. One guy bought every collector I had.
Oh, wow.
Yep. And I was doing them per pack. And I got 3 collector boosters to be, transparent. And he's just like, all right, well, I want to buy all of them. I'm like, look, I want to make sure that everybody gets them. And I'm going to be doing them by pack. And he was like, okay. And he put the pack price down for everything.
Wow.
One guy got one collector when he came in and was like, hey, can I get one? And of course he was like, yeah, you can buy one, but I'm going to take the rest of these.
Have you ever seen a product like that before? Because I would have thought like Lord of the Rings. So I bought almost one of everything of Lord of the Rings because I'm such a big fan of it. And in general with me, with Universes Beyond, it's not my thing. I prefer the Magic traditional worlds, the stuff that they built, Mirrodin, Theros, Darksteel, the original stuff. And I know it's more gearing towards Universes Beyond. So it kind of like blew me away when I heard, the numbers on Final Fantasy, considering Lord of the Rings was the last big one of that nature. I'm just wondering, have you ever seen that type of volume or just that type of demand?
Final Fantasy.
Final Fantasy is it. And it's interesting because that makes me wonder, because if I'm Wizards, I would almost, and as a fan, I personally don't like this, but if I was Wizards, I'd be like, why would we create our own worlds still? I'm like, the Universes Beyond works like hotcakes for us.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm curious if that's what you're kind of, from the store standpoint, if you're seeing that kind of become the trajectory, and how you feel about that from a store and on the opposite side, a lover of games.
So on the store standpoint, I know that there are specific people, even with Final Fantasy, that did not want to buy a pack. It was absolutely bizarre for me, but they didn't like Final Fantasy, so it's their thing. I know that those ones were just lovers of Wizards, so they didn't buy any really of the Universes Beyond stuff. One of them's getting into the Avatar thing because they're a huge anime nerd like me, but not going to have anything to do with Spider-Man, didn't have anything to do with Final Fantasy, never had anything to do with Assassin's Creed or any of the other ones that came out. But there are still those people out there that don't care about Universes Beyond. I love it as a person, as just a collector and a game lover. I think that it's fantastic. I am very intrigued as to what they're coming out with, though I do love their world as well. I got into Magic back when it was still unlimited. So I actually used to buy all the fat packs they had with the books inside. So I would read all the lore of all their world. And I still have some of those books. And I like the story that they tell. They continued telling it online. And then it got to the point where one of my friends would actually read the whole lore of the story. And then he would sit down with us in like a business meeting. And we would go through all the different things that happened in the lore. And, take out the cards like, oh, like when the marriage happened. Oh, well, this is why the marriage happened. This is why, this one actually is having these cards because this all happened in the story. So I like their world. I think that it's a good thing. But the thing with the Universes Beyond, as a collector of things, I think that it's wonderful. I don't like what the cash grab thing is going on about it because, like I said, Spider-Man is going for like $1,000. And
that's wild.
Avatar is probably going to go for about the same. Final Fantasy is currently going for, I think, $1,300 to $1,400 a box. And that's what I can get it from another like game store, because there's obviously like different posts and like places I can go to talk to other game stores to try and trade product that works for me and doesn't work for them. But I know people who are selling Final Fantasy boxes that are stores to other stores for $1,400.
Wow. I mean, that's going to be then hard to then sell to a customer if game store to game store is having to pay that much in between. That's tough.
It is, because I would have to charge like $150 a pack to make enough money to make it make sense.
Right.
I've been going into other things to try and make money other than just Magic and Pokemon, just to make sure I keep the lights on. Like I do Whatnot now. I've been doing a lot of different Weiss Schwartz and waifu cards on Whatnot. My name is Zorn Alucard on Whatnot, and I do pretty good. I also sell to other Whatnot people in big bulk deals now. There's Pokemon people like Jimmy BK that is on Whatnot, and he comes to my store. He's actually a really nice guy. I know him outside of this, and he buys just absolute tons of cards at a time. He'll drop like $5,000 at a time with no problems. And other Whatnotters come in and do the same type of thing. And that is, unfortunately, one of the things I think is hurting a local game store is somebody can just be in their house, stream a bunch of cards, and just go. And they can get into a distributor as well, just like I can, and get product from them. Because I see Whatnot people having massive, massive, massive product.
Yeah.
And I got a case.
It's a tough thing to compete with at times when you have, everybody doing it. That could just, I didn't even know that they could just sign up with a distributor too. I wasn't aware of that. Yeah, that adds complexity to it. But on the flip side of the difficulties, as we've talked about, what is something that's working well right now?
Working well right now is the community. The community is always very, very loving and wonderful. I can't tell you how many people come in here, even if it's just like once every month, because they want to support a small business instead of going someplace else. The community is absolutely insane. I do different, promotions and stuff, and I sponsor different events myself in order to give back to the community because they give me so much.
That's excellent. I mean, it's, goes back to the camaraderie like we were talking about before. And as we start to wrap up here, Herbie, is there something you're looking towards with the future of the store, of something that you'd like to see happen? It could be grandiose. It could be something that you actually have your eyes set on, that you're planning out. Anything like that you'd like to share?
Yeah. As I said before, I am going to be going and doing a TCG for Reality A, the tabletop I created. I'm doing the new tabletop as well with the friend of mine. I think that's going to go even better than my first one did, because I kind of know now how to work the angles and make sure that there is transparency to what is actually happening, and that's a lot of conventions. And that is kind of where I'm looking. I have one guy that comes in every once in a while, and he's thinking about even making an app for your phone that we can sponsor.
Very cool. You've got a lot going on.
Yes, I always try to keep busy.
How do you have your store laid out? Like if I walk in, like what is the layout from like gaming area versus product? If you could describe that a little bit?
Oh, sure. When you walk in, you'll easily see that on one side is all of my cases and all of my product. On the other side, it's tables. For a good 3/4 of the store, and then I have a little nook that has a bunch of my bulk cards on it, and sleeves and dice and RPG books. Then you'll go into my middle room. My middle room is full of video games. That's what it's all dedicated to. And there's a little lounge. And right now we're in my back room because I can't really get too far away from my store. And in my back room, I just have all my storage. I also have a warehouse in the back plaza behind me that I store all of the stuff that's currently not selling too much, which is usually a bunch of board games right now or stuff that accumulated during COVID.
Excellent. Well, Herbie, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. Is there anywhere you'd like to point people to where they could check out and learn more about the store?
You can go to our Instagram or our Facebook. Facebook is Reality A Games, the store. Reality A Games is my actual game itself. So if you want to check that out, feel free. Though I will be honest, I'm not on that as much as I'd like to be, but Reality A Games, the store is where you can find us on Facebook. Also on Instagram, we're Reality A Network. A lot of our projects are going towards that direction. So you'll be able to find anything that we stream on Reality A Network. For either Instagram, I'm trying to get the Twitch of it, and a whole bunch of other things for Reality A Network.
Awesome. And I'm looking forward, Herbie, to see all the things that you're planning to do come to fruition. This has been a fun time. Thank you again for coming on.
Thank you for having me. It's been a great time, and you're a wonderful person. Thank you so much for having me on here.
Oh, appreciate it. Likewise, my friend.